Everyone say thank you, Mega Man 2. 8-bit Grinch Melovania here with an uncharacteristically warm feeling about a boomer video game that even museums know is kind of good. Ever since Epic Video Games Company accidentally let me have a whole bunch of Castlevanias when I genuinely was already stuffed, my comfort video game on my laptop has been Castlevania 1. It's fun. It's satisfying. It's easily digestible, and I just find it very, very pretty. Now, these Pulse feelings are not weekend fresh off the boat. They're like about a month and a half old, but nothing's really changed since I started playing the game, so I thought this would be a fun way to kick off a little bit of a reheated Pulse video streak while I don't have anything else to work on. I mean, it's the same as when I opened it up day one. The big, important, famous video game that started all of Castlevania has become my small and knowable red-colored little friend. So let's talk particulars. I'm writing a whole video on about 10 rooms of a video game, I think. I have not beaten level 3 yet. That's a little out of my reach. I couldn't even tell you what the boss of level 3 actually is. I've not seen it. Level 3 is wild and new, and I get chills every time I can progress a little bit there. Basically, I've replayed levels 1 and levels 2 a whole bunch of times, and they don't stop being fun. And it's been like a month and a half or something. What's going on? Unpacking this a little bit, classic Vanias, from my experience, they might all be relatively short, linear bruise fests that sling you out the door if you mess up in front of a skeleton, but they're not all equally deep. For example, I have memories of grinding something in the middle of Rondo level 4 or so for literal months on end. I'd mastered the first 7 rooms or so with its instant death traps to get through the torture dungeon level, and I had this long sequence in the middle featuring a high-stakes bone snake duel that I had to win step by step, and that was really, really overwhelming to practice, even with save states locking me into the start of every level. Likewise, Curse of the Moon 2, it always gets me stuck numerous checkpoints deep, doing hella complicated maneuvers that I'm tuckered out before I've even begun. Castlevania 1 leapt out as my little buddy because these levels are small. I'm talking microscopic. The Momodora 2 of millennia-spanning blood feuds. Playing for 1 continue, just like using all your lives so you get a game over, that always translates to just a clean 20 minutes of fun and 2 satisfying red sphere drops from Big Bat and Mama Medusa. Eventually I'm gonna get tired of replaying these levels, but for now, the structural tortilla that encapsulates all the veggies and spices of this gameplay creates such an appetizingly shaped little product that I can't stop popping them in my mouth. For a similar reason to why I clicked with Haunted Castle Revisited on my first pulse, there is a simplicity to these early levels that I really appreciate. Passing by a slot that only Robert could possibly fit into when you only have Zangetsu, or in level 2, seeing like some weird out of reach alternate route that you have no idea how to get, it makes Curse of the Moon 2 feel a little bit overwhelming for a new player. Then, did you know that Rondo has a whole side room in its first level? There's like a whole little thing under the stairs. I didn't know about that, so cool. I guess I was missing part of the fun. That's just like, that kind of thing is just like, okay, fine, guess I'll miss out. Castlevania 1, on the other hand, has these very approachable little puzzles that I could figure out. I adore how random they are. Wanna whip a sus tile in level 2? Ta-da! There's no chicken, but now you'll get a golden money bag. Does this one brick in the fish zone look a little bit weird? Head on down. If you either stand a while, or like stand then kneel, or like hit the sussy spot with significant force from a fall, you've revealed a prize. It's kind of great. The OG wall chickens that I used to hear about in internet gaming culture memes 10 years ago, they were placed pretty decently too. I think it's really easy to find them and pick them up every level. It creates this sense of just hit after hit of clever for even a very inexperienced player like myself, which is appreciated. Similarly, the enemy placements I find very, very manageable. I know all this stuff is gonna get more complicated later in the game, but so far there's no super mean enemy combos that beat you up or like instant kill mistake spots aside from like, obvious gauntlets with Medusa heads, but the Medusa heads don't come at you 3 at a time like a clock tower level or something, at least in the beginning here. They spawn like 1 at a time, and they spawn in a very easy place to react to most of the time, and so far it's just not that overwhelming. Everything's mostly mono-e-mono unless they're like specifically throwing the corpse horde at you or something. I show up, I do these puzzles, I fight some enemies, I get the red sphere. The sphere. Yeah, it's kinda nice. The gentle glow, the warm colors emanating from the sphere. It's that careful 8-bit craftsmanship. It's like, how can you stop coming back to Castlevania 1 when it looks this dang good? This is the craziest thing, you guys. I love the feel of this game now. No forcing it, no caveats, no nothing. I'm super into it. The overall warm tone thing is fantastic. Level 2 always evokes Heatman's level to me, which is affectionate. The red curtains on the wall of level 1, those have always jumped out to me. They do a lot of heavy lifting. It's like the Hostess Cupcake's little squiggle on top, the white frosting, little cum squirt. It goes beyond a flourish. It gives us a sign that they really care about the design. What kicks this up to a whole new level of style is the little things, like the little lights on the walls and those big fire lantern things right at the start of the game where you get like the upgrades and everything out of. They look so damn good to me. I love it. I just love that little fire sprite. It looks so good that this hot pink cardigan that's meant to look like goop from Die With Your Boots On, Salem, Massachusetts, it really leapt out at me because on one hand it's got the drippy goop, but in the cracks in between and the black, there's kind of this tendril, the main image is dripping goop or blood, but the anti-image is kind of like a warm fire shape rising up, and it just screamed Castlevania 1 to me. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's it. I'm moving in. I'm moving into Castlevania 1 for 2025. This is where you'll find me for the New Year celebrations. I'm going to live inside a cozy cardigan that looks like Castlevania 1. Then we get to the itty bitty killers, like the candles. Oh my god, can we talk about the candles? They've just got the nicest little pinky magenta color. They're just, oh my gosh. I suppose I have to start ranking every candle in Castlevania now, don't I? I love this one, but oh, have we ever got the time to talk about the bats? These bats are more than enemies. These bats are symbols. They're glowing, they're pinky, they're kind of reddish. Jesus Christ, you guys, just like slap it on a postcard and sell it to me. It's the whole point. It's the whole hook, line, sinker, the thesis, the symbol of enduring national and cultural pride. The Castlevania 1 bats, they're like silent mascots, not just for the game, but the whole franchise. Everything I love about it. They've got that classy, gothy darkness with the essential kick of vivid style gender juice. Castlevania 1 has such a distinct visual identity. It's really strong, what can I say? And it makes me want to step back and reconsider the whole franchise in light of it. Like, where does it go? How does it grow from here? Where does the road lead? It's just so nice to be in love with the source and find it so beautiful. And then there's the music. We haven't even talked about the music yet, and we're already talking about the source of beauty for everything. Kind of a big deal, isn't it? Vampire Killer, Stalker, Wicked Child, and like the walk-up jingle and the death song and maybe like a boss song. Effectively, everyone just jumps out and drags you into the action. The thing is, this works because the intros are especially strong. They bite you so well. You get hit by that sense of tense determination, but usually also a nervousness. It's delicious. Vampire Killer, Stage 1. This feels as aligned and refreshing as hitting the Coca-Cola in July. Stalker puts me in the pocket to walk a scary tightrope, and then Wicked Child opens up into this crazy, busy affair. I was shocked the first time I heard it. You're outside. These weirdo enemies like the flea men are jumping all around in weird ways, and the skeletons are trying to GQ you out, and it's just time to hold your ground. You're pushing into the madness. The night has evolved into a new level. This really made a strong impression on me the first time, I'm serious. The excitement hasn't quite gone away. It's a wonderful combination of game design level-wise and music. It's gonna take work, but just getting to see more of this original gangster-inspired level mixed with legendary melody kind of stuff each time I get to a new zone is a really, really big motivator to keep trying, but that is not the only reason I'm motivated. Ever since the great Mega Man-ing of 2024, I can acknowledge and respect a good feedback system in an action game. From Cave Story's 3-tiered weapon levels to Curse of Darkness giving different colored growth hormones to your pet monsters based on what weapons you're using. Do I have that right? Using numbers and chance wisely can really, really deepen combat. Randomly, Castlevania 1 of all things has one of my favorite little spices to the recipe in the series with random sub-weapon drops and the double tap upgrades. Now, these two particular things, I could see people kinda hating them. They can suck if you've got a triple tapped out holy water and then you're assailed by a random stopwatch from a Medusa head. That definitely happens now and again, but I love the idea that ordinary progression can get mixed up with these random drops. Have you lost your one and only shot at clearing the Medusa head section of level 2 with a cross because you died at an inopportune moment? Don't worry, there's theoretically a chance that you could get a new one. It's random, but it opens up two really fun ways to mix up the ordinary Belmont strut if you have the patience. You can sit and grind for your fave sub, which I have done on recording, by the way, in that Nocturne video. I did that. Or just randomly wait to be struck by its blessing during ordinary gameplay, like a shiny Pokemon or a Strike of Lightning. Both of them really freshen things up, and even if they don't mean a lot to most people, or even if they kind of piss people off, I like them a whole lot. Then, in a more controlled, strategic way, double, triple, and quadruple taps, if those exist, they also offer a really nice incentive to divert from the ordinary sub-weapon gameplay. Are you tired of doing that hypothetical level 2 cross run perfectly? What I often do is I grab the axe, and then I double tap it to fight the bat, and then if you keep it and don't take the cross, you can triple tap it, and now you're just throwing a whole storm of axes to deal with the Medusa heads, and it also helps you with some of the fire-breathing skulls in there, and it's not terrible against Medusa, so I like to do that. It's just a little spice for the recipe. It's sweet. Then, look, this recipe we're trying to spice up, it uses such good ingredients. It uses such exquisite ingredients. I like this a lot. And the main thing that I've sort of been plotting around here is that everything works well, because the game feels really good to play. Those sub-weapons that I sketched out quirky modifications for, they're really iconic. They feel awesome to use, and they're kind of cute. Fun fact, winter 2022, I impulse bought a limited run hard case for my Switch that was covered in these sub-weapon sprites. I was only 2 weeks into being a Castlevania fan, but I just thought that it would be kind of a cute idea. Then I actually chickened out, and I begged for an order cancellation. Or maybe I demanded one with a really fiery email, because like they were doing NFTs, I think, for the 35th anniversary. I don't fucking know. Forget it. Point is, if I had this hypothetical little case covered in holy water, crosses, stopwatches, short swords, daggers, what are they in this game? I don't know, and axes, I'd be a really happy camper. It would have been a very nice investment reporting 3 years later. As I mentioned with the candles and everything, the core Castlevania things looked really good here at the start of everything, and I ought to say, they feel and sound good, really good too. That's the kicker. Destroying things is peak. That's basically the be-all and end-all. It feels good to destroy things. Hitting enemies, that's also peak. I love it. The sound design is really great, and even getting game over has like a funny little buoyancy to it. It bounces you right back in. Between the killer tracks, behind the clever combat, inside the heart of every goofy puzzle, and woven into every brick of the castle that you walk through, there's this sound design that packs everything with the punch that helps to carve its legacy out into the world, and it carves a place into your muscles and your nerves and your heart and your soul as you're playing it. Like, every time I trot through the castle corridor and grab those red spheres, I just feel a warm addiction just take root, just snake its way deeper and deeper into me as I become a thrall to the big red castle. And, thusly, I have befriended Castlevania 1. It's really fun adding a classic game to your repertoire, you know? All the references, all the homages, all the inspiration. You get to just sit at the source of it and enjoy every part of that creative flow through time. Maybe I could actually, rank all my favorite iconic games that I care about sometime. This might prospectively be somewhere near Ocarina of Time. Not quite Super Metroid tier. Mega Man 2's little Kohai, right? But I mean, Mega Man 2 doesn't have... if you think about comparing it to something like Undertale, it doesn't quite measure up, but Castlevania 1 has the orb, nay, the spheres. Well, you're free to go. But one more thing, since you've kind of earned a double tap of sorts, I think we should do a little bit of a tradition. I have my notes prepared on all of the enemies, just like I did in Castlevania Haunted Castle Revisited back in August. I haven't seen them all, but I can give you my thoughts on all of the enemies and how they compare to the rest of the series. No need to stay if you gotta be somewhere, but let us begin. Zombie nuns. It's really funny that these are our Goombas now. We've just kind of accepted that. It's weird. You start the game with them. They're kind of weird, but they're fine. They're functional. It is really fun to whip them. I like that part. It's a really, really good start to the game. So they're okay. They're mostly getting by on gameplay functionality. The pumas that jump at you, those are fun. I like them. They're a little bit annoying, but they're cool, and they're a good change of pace from the nuns, so they get a pass. I don't think I've seen them in another game, really. Like a wildcat? I don't know. The bats, I already said, those are quintessential. That's the number one Castlevania bat. That is the standard to which every other bat should be compared to. But then moving down the list, the mermen, I don't have strong feelings towards. They had their day in the sun, but... it's whatever. They're really just mermen in this game. The bone-throwing skeletons in the Wicked Child level 3, those are awesome. Those are really fun. They get me pumped as soon as I see them. The way they move around quickly, they kind of can triple throw bones. I love them. They have a lot of aura. They're definitely some of the best bone-throwing skeletons that I've run into. Now, the flea men. I'm kind of torn. I don't care for them much design-wise, and they anger me, but they are very fun. They're very tricky. They're okay. They're all right. I think they're a decent flea man. The Medusa heads are very fair. They're not ugly. Sometimes they're a bit ugly. I think that this style is good for them. These are one of the better Medusa heads in my opinion. The spearmen are not the most exciting spearmen. They often get like a really colorful design, which they don't really have here. They're pretty whatever actually. The skull towers are very distinct iterations on the skull towers. They're just two skulls and they're one unit. I also find myself walking up to engage in blocking their fire a lot more in this game than usual. So I would say they are in the upper echelon of skull towers. I appreciate them in this game for absolute sure. The crow is very scary and very engaging with its pattern. The design is just a crow, but having an 8-bit crow is pretty appealing, so it's an alright crow. It's got some commendation there. The giant bat, I love that thing. That's a really fun boss. I love the arena that it's in. One of my favorite things, I can't believe I didn't mention, is using the holy water double tap to trap it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Fun fight. The design is like fine. It's one of my more favorite bosses, I would say. And what am I comparing it to? Like Aria of Sorrow's fake out boss? Do I know any other giant bats? I don't think I do. Mama Medusa, the head, she's actually a very annoying boss fight. I just feel like I can't get comfortable fighting her. The design's like okay. It's definitely maybe a downgrade from Medusa in Haunted Castle. I don't know. In some ways I like her design better, but I prefer the fight of Haunted Castle Medusa, and I definitely prefer the fighting and the spriting of Haunted Castle Medusa, Haunted Castle Revisited Medusa's little snakes. I don't really give a shit about these snakes, to be honest. So, thank you for listening, and now you can head out. But if you want a triple tap, I have some news that I mentioned about video releases for this winter. So thanks for listening. You can head out if you have to be somewhere. I won't keep you, but for the fans, I'm looking at a very fat stack of potential New Year's game Pulse videos and reheated Pulse videos I wanted to do but couldn't do back in the fall. And like, I don't have any heavy scripted video to work on right now. I'm still picking what I want to do for the spring. So I've decided to make a kind of Pulse party for the rest of the winter. I'm just going to keep cooking up these scripted, higher effort Pulse videos whenever I want to make something. I don't know if I'm going to make everything in my list right now, but we can choose from these as my next one. I'll put them all out there. Let me know with a comment on this video, or maybe I will do a community poll to let me know what one you really want to hear my thoughts on. Because if I don't do them now, they're not gonna get made. Some ones that I could do. Getting a pulse on Crash Bandicoot. That's something. Getting a pulse on Ender Lilies. A very different something. Getting a pulse on Order of Ecclesia. I think I could do it. I think I could still do what I would call a Pulse video on Order of Ecclesia, even though I am getting a bit far into it. Finally, I think I could do Getting a Pulse on Devil May Cry. That one might take a little bit, but I would be very happy to talk about my early time with Devil May Cry if people are interested, so sound off. How's that for emotional range? One last thing. A quadruple tap. The bells are tolling on high. The babies are vomiting from fear in their cribs, and the crows throughout the land are hearkening its return. The Wheel of Doom. I'll be streaming Wheel of Doom again in February for one day, with loads of Castlevanias and Bloodstains mixed in, just like I did back in November. We will include the debut of Castlevania 1, but that's not the only thing. If I can get a component to HDMI, I might be able to add Curse of Darkness, and maybe we could actually beat Roten after we cruelly left it to fate whether or not we're gonna fucking beat Roten last time. That was mean of y'all, but I think, not committing, I might put on the wheel Getting a Pulse on Portrait of Ruin. I've been wanting to play Portrait of Ruin this year. I don't even have many Castlevanias I want to play this year. I'm pretty satisfied. Like maybe Lament, Portrait and Castlevania 1, and that's it. I think that's like naturally when I would want to start Portrait, and it would be a really exciting thing to have a new, fresh experience on the wheel. So mark your calendars. I'll find a date for that after Celeste month and after the Hollow Knight collab. So thanks for listening. That's all the info. Happy New Year, and take care. Happy Wheel of Doom Day.